The beats that make you jump up and yell. Sharp Night. Sharp Night. That's when we take out the trash. Sharp Night. It's when we take you out and kick your fucking ass. Go.
Hi, how you doing? Welcome to another edition of Catharsis here on the Full Circle Radio Network. I'm your host, Joseph G. Alexander. So yeah, I was meaning to get this out yesterday. Unfortunately, some things happened, so didn't happen. It's okay. We do what we do, and I'm still here. So I guess this is serving as part 2 to the last edition of Catharsis. Hence why last episode was Garbage Day, and now it's Junk Night. So once again, for those of you who like to follow this vlog, whatever you like to call it, this portion of our channel, who look for something more on a broader scale, whether it be national politics, mental health, yada yada, this might not be the episode for you. Sorry. New episode of Wildcard Cinema just dropped. You can check that out in the meantime. No, this is a continuation of what I was speaking about local issues here in the city that I live in. So if you haven't watched Garbage Day, I would suggest going there first. A little sum up for going into this. Basically, there is a consortium of the far right in my city that is on a giant disinformation campaign that needs to be stomped out. And a few key members of that hold office here, including our elected mayor, Jeff Caggiano, who is known on this channel, in this household, and in my personal circles as Mayor Fuckbuckle. He's also known as Mayor Photo Op, because that's all he fucking does. He doesn't do anything good for this city. He just likes taking photos. Look, here I am in this place, and here I am in that place, and look at me. I'm so fucking important. Fuck you. So, and I mentioned on the last episode that there were a ton of things that this asshole has done in the past few years that I didn't even get a chance to touch upon. So I figured I would do that today, as well as some updates on what is going on in the fair city of Bristol, Connecticut currently. Because some people have been outed, which is always a good thing. And if they haven't been outed, they're getting outed now. That's why I'm here. You see, unfortunately, in this city, there isn't a big movement to get the younger demographic to get involved in politics and get involved in their city and get involved in just registering and voting. As I mentioned, our mayoral elections take place on odd-numbered years, so that's why people don't usually show up, which is a travesty. It's one of those things that used to be taught in schools about how, elections on every level are important. But some people just don't pay attention to that. And then they want to spew off and they think that everything is the fault or the praise of whoever's in DC, not realizing that it starts on your local level. I'd like to be able to change that just a little bit. Just a little bit. And I have a few things bookmarked here, but it's not like I don't have like a bullet to bullet to bullet to bullet format for things like Catharsis, just because flying by the seat of my pants and taking it as it goes. But here's the long and the short right now. Let me, before I get to the current update, I might as well go back and keep good on my promise of mentioning the awful, awful things that have taken place since this waste of space got elected. And once again, for those of you that say, well, he must be popular if he was elected. No, we have such a low voter turnout that he wins by a very slim margin. If the actual fully registered amount of voters showed up, it would be far different. But people have become so apathetic to local elections that they just don't show. And that's tragedy. And that's what leads us to have really bad fucking leadership. Because we have had some very good leadership in this city as well, both in the time when I lived here or in the time where I lived in a neighboring town. There are very good politicians that have held that position, such as Nicastro and Zappo. And there's been very bad people who have been in office, like Ken Cocaine. Might as well be cocaine because that motherfucker was on something. Anyways, so let's go back to the beginning, to the humble, to the manure fucking covered roots of where Mayor Fuckbuckle came into play. So this jackass was a member of, I believe, something on one of the town councils. I think something to do with the Board of Ed, which is really hilarious now considering how he's claiming that the Board of Ed is the problem with this city. Just putting it out there. So let's see here. See, a couple of years back, a page was begun that was keeping track of the utter terrible fuckery that was going on when this man was in office. Unfortunately, the person who was in charge of the Facebook page that kept track of that is no longer on Facebook. So the page went dormant. Another page was begun with the same energy. But I mean, here's one of the things where it does what it does, but it's not always the greatest. So as I mentioned, the youth vote and things like that. So the problem with both sides in this city, as far as the political aspect goes, is they think that Facebook is the end all be all of social media and social media marketing and campaigning. It's a big problem. As we all know, I mean, it was a joke 10 years ago that you really are old if you have a Facebook profile. Like it went from being the cool college kid thing to you're old, as social media evolved and people started using Reddit and TikTok and all that shit. So the fact that a lot of the fact that the disinformation is being spread on Facebook and pretty much nowhere else just shows the mentality and the age range of who is doing it. That's why you got people like me. I mean, I'm no spring chicken. I'm a jaded Gen Xer, but at least I'm using a medium that has a broader scope. I upload these videos to YouTube. I share them on my social media. As you can see below, I've got my X account, my Blue Sky account, and the official Facebook page for our entire channel. I do what I can. However many people it reaches, that's how it does. This isn't a marketing ploy. This isn't for clicks. I don't get paid for this fucking channel. In fact, as it is, I pay for my studio software. So I'm in a deficit doing these. I do this, as I have said, for the love of the game. I agree, Titus. Got a grumbling puppy over here. So I'm going to go over these bullet points that were listed here with the dates that happened. So he was elected in 2021. His inauguration was in January of 2022. Now, if you all recall, we were knee deep in COVID during that time. And one of the things this idiot ran on was no masks. Masks are bad for everyone. He couldn't be against the vaccine because he worked for a pharma company that was helping supply tests. So he was all no masks. And so that was the disguise that he used for his inauguration. So you see, inauguration takes place at City Hall. but there's a mask mandate in all federal buildings. So this asshole literally, for his inauguration, held it at a church. Not just any church, but a Baptist church that is staunchly anti-LGBTQ in this community. To the fact where they said that anyone who is of an alternative lifestyle would not be allowed entry into that church for the proceedings unless they denounced their lifestyle. Fuck you. Fuck you. But he did. He said, well, it's because they don't have a mask mandate. So that's why I wanted to have it there. Motherfucker, you wonder why their fucking congregation were the most COVID ridden through the entire fucking pandemic. I'm a member of a coalition in this city of churches of multiple faiths that would hold Zoom meetings during that so we could do things, and we would hold events that were held online streaming so that way people were safe. These motherfuckers were just like, nope, we're here. Cough it up. Literally. He also frequently denied the severity of the pandemic by demanding mask mandates be repealed and making claims against the. Oh, well, that's right. He did claim against the vaccine originally. He lashed out at constituents on social media via private message when he was criticized in an open forum. I happen to be one of those people. And by lashed out, I mean I was DM'd by the official mayor's office Facebook page trying to dress me down for the things I was saying. And also, at another time, DM'd directly from him, which I will get to later. Demanding religious fixtures donated by members of the Bristol Interfaith Coalition be removed from City Hall. Once again, that is the organization that I help take part in and help and do many charitable things for this city. And so there was there was the setup of, multiple faiths and showing this is what, this is what Bristol has to offer. We're welcoming to all. He was like, nope, get it out. If it ain't a cross, I don't want to fucking see it. Oh, the Wheeler Clinic construction. That was wonderful. So there was a deal put in by the last mayor for hospital clinic building to be built close to City Hall. He came in and put a stop to that. And then when everyone went, what the fuck? This was supposed to bring revenue to our town in, the form of this, that, and the other thing, building contracts and everything. All of a sudden he goes back on it. He moves the project to further up the road to a space that was to another space that was open, tells them to build it there, builds this huge fucking monstrosity that blocks out the fucking sun. And then he's like, see, I did this. No, fucker. There was already a contract in place. You're just taking credit for shit other people did, which is his MO. The ice storm where he hid out in his ski lodge in New Hampshire. Oh, that was wonderful. Huge ice storm. People were trapped here. He went up to his family owns a ski lodge in New Hampshire, like not a resort, just, their own little personal lodge where he took videos and put it up of all the fun they were fucking having. While people down here were stuck in their homes and roads weren't plowed, all the stuff a mayor's supposed to do. And this was his first month on the fucking job. This is when I was getting the DMs. And then when he was supposed to come back to handle things, because that was when there was an airdrop of tests coming in, he stayed up there. He stayed up there an additional 5 days, and he claimed, oh, well, we had a COVID exposure up here, so we had to quarantine. Fuck you. I can't believe people fucking bought into that bullshit. But they did. Abruptly ending a Zoom Q&A of a public town council meeting because he failed to employ a competent IT person to administrate the tech position. I remember that. That was in his first month. Suggesting homeless people simply call 211 to find shelter outside of Bristol during a sub-zero cold snap. Yep, that was his suggestion for everything. We have 2 homeless shelters in this town that were at capacity. And they said, what are the homeless supposed to do? And he says, call 211. Because, you know, payphones still exist, apparently. Where around here, I have no clue. And apparently homeless people, no, just pick up your cell phone. And, you know, if they're homeless, they're homeless. They're stuck in a general area, you dumb fuck. This is why you are out of touch with society. And then here's the big one. And this has happened every year since he started. It continues to go on, and it is spread to other celebrations as well. This bigoted fuck refuses to acknowledge Pride Month. But there's more. Because you see, that was preempted by one thing. It's one of the first things he did when coming into office. There was literally the year before he was voted in by the previous mayor, there was a bill passed to make it official that the pride flag could be flown at city buildings. It had been done at some city buildings prior to them, but just they put it into law saying that this is perfectly acceptable. Bristol is a welcoming city. The first thing this fucker did, that's gone. No longer allowed. I don't want to see that rainbow shit. And if you think I'm jumping to conclusions, no. Because you see, what happened was his second year in office, he went and spoke one day at a pride flag raising ceremony at the local hospital, because the hospital is a private organization and they can. At which point he spoke about how he's happy that the hospital was expanding its scope of mental health facilities to help those sort of people. Because according to him, being LGBTQ is a mental illness. So every year, because all these people know is their little bubble on Facebook, myself and a few other people, put ourselves to tasks. And every time the mayor's office makes a post in the month of June, we inundate the comment section with pride flag emojis. Because he refuses to acknowledge it. But that's okay, because it's February 27th. It's one day left in Black History Month when I'm recording this. He has done nothing to acknowledge Black History Month. Nothing. I also didn't acknowledge Martin Luther King Day. He'll make sure to put up shit for, he'll make sure to put up stuff for church events for certain churches, which is a violation of the separation of church and state. But nope, won't acknowledge this. And what's funny is he didn't acknowledge Juneteenth last year until he was called out on it. And you see, there's a Juneteenth celebration held in this city. I was there. Amazing celebration they put on. There's food, there's people vending, there's speeches, there's the like dance troupes doing things, local musicians. Wonderful, absolutely great, amazing community building stuff. This fucker, he showed up. Gave a 30-second speech at the podium to prove that he was there, went and got a plate of the soul food, and then went and found the only other white people besides myself and my friends that were there to take a picture in front of the Juneteenth banner to put up on the fucking mayor's page. And of course, everyone afterwards, and literally did it by posting a blurb that he literally copy and pasted off Wikipedia about what Juneteenth is. Everyone called out. They're like, "You at Juneteenth and there's not a single fucking non-white person in that picture. Are you fucking serious?" But here's what's even better. That morning, a friend of mine had reached out because the mayor kept saying, I am open to having one-on-one conversations with people about issues and yada, 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 all this stuff. And a friend of mine reached out. And the mayor said, okay, I will meet you at this coffee shop that's on this street at this time in the morning so I can speak to you. I won't name my friend by name just because maybe there's some anonymity that needs to go on there, but they're awesome people. My friend happens to be trans. My friend also said, anyone want to come join me for this? Because, well, you're the mayor, you're of the people. Yeah, there should be, if there's other people that share this and they have the time, they should be there with you. I see no problem with that. Why should anyone? So this fucker shows up, throws a fit because there's extra people there. Mind you, it's in a public place. Literally snaps at my friend. And my friend was there to ask him why he wouldn't acknowledge Pride Month. And he literally said, if I acknowledge Pride, then I have to acknowledge groups like the KKK, which is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Which is hard because he said so much dumb shit. So it's like a tier list of what's dumber. And then he's physically getting more and more angry because his bullshit answers are getting shot down by a group of, it was maybe 3, maybe 4 people, to the point where he fucking blows up, goes off on them, calls them everything but a child of God, and walks out of the fucking place. And then the shop owner, you chose your line in the sand that day, fucker. You were already on my shit list. The shop owner basically goes over and blames my friend for the mayor snapping and storming out. I don't feel sorry when ICE comes looking for your ass, even though you're a legal citizen. This is the world you chose to live in. And I don't mean that as in, I mean, you chose to side with the wrong fucking people. So that night at Juneteenth, I'm sitting there with my friend and their partner. Mayor Fuckbuckle knows who I am. He knows what I look like. I don't hide my face, unlike some people who we'll get to. Comes over directly over to the table where I'm sitting to my friend and tries to explain himself for him storming out that morning. Listen, some words were said, this, that, and the other thing. I think things were misinterpreted, blah, blah. It was the most half-assed apology I've seen. Doesn't acknowledge that I'm sitting right there and walks away. Fine. Of course, it's funny because as he's walking away, I'm like, you always got shit to say online, but when I'm right here, you ain't got to say motherfucking thing. And he heard me. I know he heard me. So he makes his rounds arm in arm with the fire chief, who we're going to get to, basically acting like there's too many darkies around here and I'm nervous, and leaves. Goes over, and his car just happened to be parked near where I had parked my bike in the adjoining parking lot. Because the wife came after work and she parked right next to she parked right next to me to make sure, no one for it's when you got Fuckbuckle parked across from it, I want to make sure my gas line's not cut or anything like that. Just standing there, yada yada. He goes home. Now, apparently, when he went home, he decided to have a little bit of liquid courage. And then, as I'm home later on, after the festivities have ended, I've gone home. It's 8 o'clock at night. Message request folder notification. It's this fucker from his fucking own account. I know I have this saved. It may take me a second to bring it up. But it was literally just like, fucker, you were there. You could have said something to me in person, but you chose not to because you're a bitch. Let's see. It's got to be here. That's May. Luckily, because it happened on Juneteenth, I know exactly where it is. Oh, look, I found it. I know you can't really see it. Let me see if I can zoom. There we go. It came from, there it is, Jeffrey Caggiano. That's his ass. Your friend met a brand new police officer and his trainer this morning. They came up to our table We're very nice and welcoming to all. Your friend and his guest proceeded to tell me that all cops are anti-LGBTQ. I was deeply offended and stuck up for our officers and said at the 1 minute, 15-minute conversation was over. I apologize for walking out, but stand by the fact that anyone should have been offended. It is bigoted. Screenshot that and post it to your page where you hide behind the safety of not allowing comments. Yeah, so bro, my page is public. I've never shut off comments. And I'm the admin of one of the local town groups. The initial posts are moderated, but the comments are not. They're not shut off. No, that's not what happened. What happened was my friend said LGBTQ people have enough problems in this city, and we're not sure who's on our side, whether it be City Hall or the officers, because you said dumb shit like, oh, if you get mugged, just call the police. And they said there's been times where trans people have been assaulted in this town, and they called the police and the police did nothing. That's all they said. But you want to twist it into your own little fucking game. In fact, oh, cool. I still have the screenshot of the conversation because I told the friend that guess who just fucking DM'd me. So yeah, so I sent them what it said, and they said that's literally not what I said at all. I said, I hope the new community officers can be used as a positive force for LGBTQ residents, because while discrimination and hate crimes happen, LGBTQ people do not feel comfortable calling police in general about LGBTQ crime. Then I said it's because when we see police unions endorse politicians who have anti-LGBTQ policies, and when the police don't explicitly welcome LGBTQ people, all we can determine about cops is from the knowledge that we have. And I was trying to say we can improve that relationship here, but he flipped out. And I'm sorry, but I tend to trust my friend a lot more than this line, fuck. Because that's that chunk of him being a bigot. There's one other chunk, and some of you might know this because it's made national news several fucking times. So, June 2 years ago, the June previously, then that June 2 years ago, I get a DM from my friend who lives in North Carolina, and she says, I just found something on TikTok. And I'm like, that's nice. Like, because I'm not on TikTok. She sends me a screenshot. they were these white supremacist flyers that had been found on people's lawns and on people's cars. And I looked at it and I went, that's a block from where I live. And there were these white supremacist flyers being spread all over town and posters nailed up on fucking telephone poles on the main drag on Route 6. Like, where like you would have to pull up a pickup truck, get out, get in the bed of the pickup truck to nail this up the height that it was, but the cops were nowhere to be found. Now, when that first happened, everyone said, "Hey, maybe the mayor should say something about this." Never did. Never did. We're like, you have a chance to do the right thing here. You have a chance to say, all you have to say is, we do not allow that in this city. We are not accepting of those kind of things in this city. We denounce white supremacists. See how easy that is to say? I don't think, you know, especially like, I believe more people are going to have to start saying it now because of people like fucking Tesla Boy and fucking 8 Shirts Bannon doing the fucking salute. How hard is it to say we denounce white supremacists in this city? But he won't do it. Why? Because he knows that's his constituency. He knows that's who fucking votes for him. When you outright know that the worst scum of the earth are your supporters and you're afraid of losing their support, you should not be in fucking public office. And this went on and on and on. More occurrences. Neo-Nazis holding fucking rallies in the park and ride off the highway in this city. More fucking flyers. More fucking shit getting tacked up. Every time it gets brought up, he's like, I already handled that. No, you fucking didn't. Because we literally scrubbed every speech you ever gave, every Q&A you did, every fucking post you ever made on social media. Not once did you say, I denounce white supremacists. 4 words could not be found anywhere. However, when there was the fucking last mayoral debate and that was brought up, you stood there with a stack of blank paper and said, I have a stack of papers of how many times I've talked about this. I'm sick of talking about that. Literally beating the papers on the fucking podium. Blank fucking paper. Never did it. And you know what happens when you don't denounce fuckers like that? They keep showing up. Little side story. Mayor of neighboring town to Britain. She's actually being tapped to possibly run for governor. She's a Republican. I actually don't have that many problems with her. I think she's actually been very good for that city. You see? Beauty of being an independent. That shit showed up in her city. You know what she did? She went on the fucking news. She made official posts and said, white supremacists are not allowed in the city of New Britain. Stop! She's a Republican. She did it. She's been reelected. Now she's looking at a bid for governor. Will she win? I doubt, because other things, but that's a story for another day. But her early stuff, like I said, she did it. Not that hard. And why do I bring this up where you're saying, oh, this was 2 years ago, blah, blah, blah? Because they started showing up again during Black History Month. We're still finding them. And certain community leaders who have run for office but not won, but still continue to help the community, are the ones who went around taking down the signs because the police hadn't. And certain of those community leaders, I think, should run for office in this city They don't want to do it because they say, I always lose. Well, you have the mentality of I always lose. Of course, you're going to, but it's also just because you need to spread your scope of campaign. I've mentioned that before. I will continue to mention that because a couple of these people, I believe, could absolutely win. They just have to change up how they campaign. But yeah, so we still got skinheads and fucking Proud Boys running roughshod in my fucking city. And this fucker not doing a goddamn thing about it. What happened? They brought it up at the last fucking city council meeting again. They're like, why ain't you done anything about this? And he's like, I already addressed this. This investigation was closed 2 years ago. No, they closed the investigation because they didn't do anything about it. Because you won't fucking say anything about it. You bigoted fucking trash. So that brings us up to current day. Now, you watched the last episode, you know that he's part of that fucking group of idiots who are trying to blame the shortfalls of this city on the Board of Education. And he's blaming it on the Board of Ed because the Board of Ed has taken in more special education students in this city. So, of course, they're evil. Mind you, did the whole $16 million, where'd you come up with this, yada, yada, yada. Well, the thing was, yeah, some things have happened. And I'm just going to try. I've got a couple of articles bookmarked, and I've got to keep trying to bring them up because that money was found. That money was there. But unfortunately, oh, well. Oh, I'm going to need to open that up. There's a lot of things I have to open up here. And most of the articles that I mention here are coming from the Bristol Edition, which I will link down below. But, yeah. There we go. I believe this is it. Ha ha, there it is. So, it's okay, Titus. It's okay, buddy. So, see, it was an elementary school in the city. It's about 2 minutes that way down the road from me. When I was a kid, it was a full-on elementary school. Now it's used for pre-K and a couple other things. It was. The roof collapsed on it. See, the Department of Public Works should have done something about it, but no, they try to claim it's the BOE's job to do those repairs. So the roof collapsed. So the kids have had to be sent elsewhere, and it was only supposed to be a quick fix. Now they found out the fix is, they can't go back in there because it was a roof collapse by water damage and black mold. So the kids have to finish out at, I think, one of the churches nearby is using like their daycare facilities or something. So, well, here we go. Now it needs to get brought up about what's up with this stuff. So, I believe that's it. Yeah. So I'm going to pull this up. Like I said, I will link the Bristol Edition below where 1, 2, 4 of these articles that I'm going to pull from came from. Where are you? There we go. So like I said, I will read through what it says here in the highlighted section. Call the residents, contact their local elected representatives to reach out to the state for more funding. On June 12th, 2024, the board received confirmation from the state that it has been approved for $11 million in reimbursable funding earmarked for the roof renovation and other capital improvement projects. That's why there's a $16 million bit that they're talking about, was because of the increase and because of the $11 million that was earmarked for this project. This funding accounts for about 65% of the $16 million capital improvement request submitted in 2023 for various projects. However, it is important to note that it is reimbursable funding that is not available in our current budget. When the notification of the award arrived in June 2024, according to the person on the board, there was insufficient time to repair the roof before the 2024-25 school year. The intent was to repair the roof over the summer of 2025. With temporary space now available, we may be able to get the work earlier. In the meantime, the city has approved use of the senior center. That's where they are, the senior center. Let's see. The Board of Education encounters a budget shortfall due to unexpected expenses, such as special education costs, which are not predictable. It must be addressed in the next year's budget planning, which is a situation Bristol is currently facing. She added, for students with an individualized education program or a 504 accommodation plan, this district is responsible for covering tuition and transportation for Bristol residents to their schools, regardless of how far they are. State laws mandate transportation for these students and provide funding for tuition and transport once a certain limit is reached. However, like many government programs, this funding is only partial. This means that while the state requires Bristol to offer their services, it does not fully reimburse the town for the associated costs. In addition, there are major expenses associated with the transportation and tuition for local students traveling, which the state partially covers. Expectations are for the state to cover 90% of these costs once certain goals are met. But for 2024-2025 school years, only 60% of the cost for Bristol students will be covered. The resulting shortfall of millions of dollars has surprised local officials, from mayor to members of the Board of Finance, she said, where they are looking for the superintendent and education board to address the deficit with existing resources. With contractual obligations and inflation, she said, this is an impossible situation. Current funding for the 2024-25 school year is projected to be 62.1%, which only adds to the shortfall. The recent loss of COVID relief funding, combined with insufficient reimbursement for our Board of Education, has put us in a tough situation. She concluded her email with a call for local elected officials to work with the governor to ensure proper funding for this mandate, preventing additional tax burdens on Bristol homeowners and residents, as well as residents to add their voices. Long and the short, the money is there, at least a giant chunk of it. The city just has to put it forward beforehand and will be reimbursed. But that's not what Mayor Fuckbuckle wants you to believe. He wants the taxpayers of the city to believe that they are going to be stuck with that bill indefinitely. And that's what those bullshit, awful fucking AI videos that they're trying to spread on one platform is. That's what they're trying to say, which is not the fucking case. And they're doing it by showing shit like, oh, these kids are getting fucking party buses and shit. No, they're fucking not. But some of you boomer motherfuckers will believe anything you say because it's on the internet. Well, guess what, motherfucker? I'm on the internet. Believe this. If that's going to be your logic. So, yeah. So there's that first portion. Now, another part of that is there was a meeting with the Parks and Rec Department. I wish we had someone like Shelby. I wish we had someone like Leslie Knope in this town. I do. I really do. There we are. Just making sure I pull up the right screen. So basically, the Parks and Rec Department is saying, oh, we're going to have to cut a bunch of funding because of the Board of Ed, which is not the case. And yeah. So budget shortfalls threaten closure of Page and Rockwell Park pools. Rockwell and Page are the two pools, are the two parks in this city that we're lucky to have two large city parks that can be used. When I was growing up, Rockwell actually had a man-made lake at a lagoon that was open that unfortunately, due to 1,000 things, they stopped using years back, and now there's just a pool there that's not huge. Page Park has a pretty big pool though. And the thing is, those two parks are located in areas of this city where there's a lot of low-income people. And when it's summertime, they need something to do. The kids need somewhere to go. And so they go to the park. As it is right now, the kids that live near Page Park can't go sledding there. The mayor forbade it because there's some construction work being done and they're housing the bulldozers and stuff at Page Park. They could very well be garaging them at the DOT, but no, he's storing them there. Why? So that the poor kids can't go sledding there. He says, oh, just go up to Nelson's Field. Now, if you're not from this city, you're like, what's the deal? So there is another place where, yeah, kids can go sledding. It's not nearly as a great sledding spot, but it is also miles away. And when these kids are off from school because of a snow day, they can walk to Page Park. They can't walk miles in the snow uphill, literally, to Nelson's Field. But he doesn't care about that. So yeah, so let's get to the meat of this article. So it's basically talking about the grand list, which tracks taxable property in the city, which the mayor still has not released, even though all of our taxes went up last year, as I mentioned. So here's where it gets really fucking hilarious. Fuckbuckle also pointed to the projected $17 million increase in the Board of Education's budget, which remember is 16, not 17, as another factor driving the need for citywide budget reductions. Special education costs, in particular, have placed a strain on the city's finances. That's the elephant in the room here, Fuckbuckle said. We can make all the cuts we want, but the Board of Ed is killing us. It's just killing us. Special ed is the real cost there. Fuckbuckle added that Governor Ned Lamont promised additional funds for special education, but not in the current fiscal year, which he is twisting what is being fucking said. The funds are earmarked. The city will be reimbursed. They are there, but that's not how he wants to play it. Why? Because it's election year, and he has to make everyone else out to be the fucking villain. And then here's the dumb suggestions that they come up with in order to cut funding. With only $750K available to cover contractual uplifts and inflammatory costs, the city faces difficult decisions about where to trim spending. As a result, they could face cuts of $97,000 with a 2% reduction, or up to a $417,000 with a 5% reduction. These cuts would significantly affect several key services, including public pools and summer programs. Among the options presented by the Parks and Rec people was eliminating security guards at Rockwell Park. We don't technically need security, so that's $28,000. There are impacts to not having security guards, but that's a big ticket item. $28,000 for how many security guards? Even if that's one, that means you're paying security minimum wage. What it probably means, it's two security guards who are both working part-time, not full-time. And that's a fucking shame, because guess what? There's viral videos that have gone around about massive crimes happening at Rockwell Park. I'm not saying it happens every day, but it has happened, which is why there's security guards there. How hard is it? Yeah, let's just fire people, because that's the Doge way now, apparently. Oh, you're a government employee that we don't find fucking special enough, we gonna fire you. One of the most debated options is the potential closure or reduced hours at Rockwell and Page Park pools this summer. He explained that the closing that closing Page Park pool could save the department $93,000, while closing Rockwell Park pool could save $82,000. However, such closures would have wide-reaching consequences for local families, particularly those in under-reserved areas. Not opening both pools over the summer, big cost savings. We could see 93,000. But if we don't open Page, 82,000. If we don't open Rockwell, obviously a huge impact. Yeah, except people use those. But what does he care? Because the solution that the solution that Mayor Fuckbuckle and his crony here would be, well, just get a pool of your own. Literally, I guarantee you that's what they would say. Just get a pool of your own. Find a friend that has a pool. That's the shit that these fuckers pull. Reducing hours at either pool could save the department an estimated $15,000 per pool. However, this option would also cut back on swim programs, potentially leaving fewer opportunities for local children and families, especially at-risk families in the West End, which is both areas have low-income people. But they're really, the West End is this whole bullshit where the West End Association is reviving gentrification and blah, blah, blah. It's all a smokescreen of bullshit. It is. It's the West End is the West End, and you can't polish a turd. And for anyone that lives in the West End, I'm not knocking you. I know a lot of you are renting. You're renting where you are because it's affordable for you. And I know a lot of you are dealing with some asshole slumlords. So it's not you that I'm talking about in this. I think that was it for that one. Sorry, I can close that one. And I can close that one. Moving right along. But yeah, so basically they're trying to threaten these things that the voters will actually be like, no, don't do that, so that they can blame the Board of Education. Because that's what we do in this city, apparently. We blame the educators. We don't want people educated. We don't want people learning. We want to keep them dumb. We got to keep them dumb so they'll listen to anything we spoon feed them. That's what they're pushing. That's literally what they're pushing. It's if you make it through the education system in this city, if you're a great athlete, maybe you can get a scholarship. Because Bristol doesn't have a lot, and that's what they hope for. They hope that, like, oh, well, sports. The arts, fuck you. Education, fuck you. Sports. We'll push sports. Because, we need to wipe off the stain of our last big sports star being Aaron Hernandez. Let me see. Why did I have this one bookmarked? Oh, that was just okay. So I don't really need this one. So what I want to do is shift gears a little bit here and talk about some people who are actually speaking out besides me. And then circle back to, I bet you're wondering what the other parts of the thumbnail on this video were referencing. So here's another article I would like to pull up. I'm going to read this in full, or as much as possible. This is a letter to the editor that was sent. A statement from the Bristol Democratic Town Committee Chair, Michael Nicastro, who has been part of the government in Connecticut for a long time, in Bristol for a long time. Because Mayor Fuckbuckle announced he's going to run for re-election again this year. Hold my drink, bitch! Sorry. We feel it is critical that we follow up our recent statement regarding the re-election announcement by Jeff Fuckbuckle. Since that statement, We have seen a continued decline in Bristol's financial situation with a stagnant grand list for a second year in a row, an underfunded school system, a mess at Edgewood School due to his kicking the can down the road, and a third-party forensic audit, which identifies where much of the problem lies. Short answer, the fuckbuckle administration itself. The mayor's response, as usual, is to run to social media to create the illusion that the last 4 years are not his responsibility and that we're somehow back in 2021. This is red meat for his social media trolls, fake profiles, remember that, who provide him cover for his failed tenure. Multiple media reports, including the Bristol Edition, have reported that the stagnant nature of the grand list is pressuring Bristol's budget. This mayor and council has had control of economic development for nearly 4 years. They were handed a full portfolio of projects in 2021. Those projects are now ending, and they have added nothing other than the demolition of the old Dodge Village. You were not elected to be a caretaker, and even the caretaker role has been at risk since the start, when you consider that your administration came close to blowing up Wheeler right after your election in 2021, which I mentioned earlier. Other than taking credit for the work done by the Economic and Community Development Commission and the previous administration, there is nothing to show from the fuckbuckle administration. Claiming credit for the current downtown development amounts to political plagiarism and moving an existent business from one section of Bristol to another section of the city is not economic growth. The hiring freeze, which is the BOE is having a hiring freeze now while they figure everything out. The hiring freeze, and the city is actually having a hiring freeze too. The hiring freeze is all form, no substance to appeal to your base. Much like trying to convince voters that last year that reducing the mill rate was a good thing, even though everyone's taxes still went up, you hope the voters confuse motion for progress. The grand list is the scorecard of your progress, and you are not scoring any points. As for the schools and Edgewood, this too is your mess. According to the third-party audit by the professional accounting firm Clifton Larson and Allen LLP, which you insisted on and paid for with city funds. Remember, that stupid AI video said, you hired outside auditors without me. No, he suggested it. The system has been systematically underfunded during your tenure. Budget line items are lower in the current budget than in earlier years in a time when educational costs are increasing. What the public should know about this report, and especially the parents of students who rely upon services, is that a primary finding was inadequate budgeting for special education needs based on historical expenditures, a process complicated by your constant desire to squeeze the education budget and your misplaced political anger that your people are not in charge. The auditors clearly pointed out and encouraged increased communication and collaboration between the city and the Board of Education. An ongoing dialogue that identifies challenges before they become a problem, not exactly your strength. Education costs are escalating in every town, and they deal with it in a number of ways, the strongest of which is by growing the economic base. You have fumbled that ball for 4 years, all of which will lead to yet another major tax increase this upcoming year. You are going to lower taxes and improve services. Instead, you have drastically raised taxes and lowered services, and now have the school system so poorly funded that the state may be forced to step in. So stop saying that your record is being distorted. Your record speaks for itself, and the taxpayers are going to get a reminder when they get the tax bill in June. Sincerely, Bristol DTC Chair Michael Nicastro. I commend you, Mr. Nicastro. You are more eloquent than I. I suppose if I had composed myself to write such a letter, I could have, but I choose to use this venue instead because sometimes anger can't be displayed in the written form. So I do this. Trust me, I'm angry. I am angry because this motherfucker is a goddamn bigot. He's a piece of shit. The trash needs to be taken out. Unfortunately, the trash is piling up. So now it's time for heavy junk removal. Hence Junk Night, which, by the way, was a song written and performed by a band from here in Bristol, Connecticut. Used to play out with him all the time. So I'm not done. Now we're going to get to the other part, which is Fuck Buckle's minions. You see, as I mentioned, these people live on Facebook. That's where that's their whole thing. And they think that they can just create fake profiles and no one's going to be any the wiser. So the first person is someone who is not in elected office right now, but was at one time. And that would be an individual by the name of Alex Catharsis. Not to be confused with Alex Catharsis, the man who played George Papadopoulos on the 80s sitcom Webster. Yeah, this fuck right here. You know what's really sad? That guy's a smidge over 10 years older than me. If I look that bad in 10 years, damn. I mean, I know that I'm losing a little tone in the facial hair and I've got to touch it up every once in a while, but damn. So this fuck has been he has me blocked. His main account has me blocked, which is funny because that's why he admins a Facebook group, because that's all these fuckers know how to do. He admins a Facebook group called Bristol Talks Politics, which actually isn't a political discussion group. It's an echo chamber. I can't find the group because, well, the admin has me blocked, so I can't find it. So on the Bristol Edition Facebook page, on the mayor's Facebook page lately, there has been an individual that has popped up attacking everyone, trolling everyone, and defending Mayor Fuckbuckle by the name of John Stevens. An individual whose Facebook profile was created quite recently, who has 4 friends, maybe more now, whose profile pic is an American flag, and who loves posting shit like this. Ukraine is this is Alex himself. Ukraine is losing their stupid war that Democrats, neocon Republicans, and their European liberal warmonger pals got us into. And someone else said, that sounds a lot like what German sympathizers in America were selling just before the U.S. got into World War II. Coincidence? I forgot that was actually under his main account. Yeah. But just trolling and yada, yada. And basically, someone actually called him up and said, don't you have anything better to do, Alex? And they responded, not realizing they were still on their fake account, and started going off on this person and outed themselves. So we all know that Alex Catharsis is John Stevens, hence why the picture of him on the splash screen is with the hi, my name is Alex / John Stevens. You're not fooling anyone, bro. But you see, why am I bringing this up? Am I being petty? Partially, yes. But there's another reason. And that is because, well, you see, he's trolling under this name, but at the same time, and this is where I have to fault you, Bristol Edition, because you fuckers gave this guy an outlet. This fuck right here. Reflections on Bristol's political evolution. I'm gonna skim through this with the big points because it's fucking ridiculous. Thanks to the new editor of Bristol Edition, I'm writing my first column in a Bristol periodical. And although I'm honored, of course, it's been a long time coming, as over the years I've had strong opinions, as many know, on a plethora of issues in town, the region, and nationwide. He goes on to basically talk about when he was part of the regime back in 1999, and how he's fifth generation in this town, so he thinks he's owed something. And how Nicastro, when he was mayor, actually appointed him to a city board position, which he was ousted from because of a lot of bullshit. And here's where it gets stupid. The Board of Education could be more contentious, even in more civil times, but I remember well the respect the Republican chairwoman had in decades now past, and the overall selfless service members of that board had in those times. The Board of Education is an elected position that any citizen has a right to serve on, regardless of economic, professional, or educational background. If that person garners the political support to gain a seat on the board, that person should be granted the respect as a member of that board. The Board of Education should not be merely a springboard to higher office, a line on one's resume, or a punching bag for a manic to vent his or her anger and frustrations. Our children and our taxes aren't political footballs. Those sentiments seem to have changed, especially over the past couple of decades, as the dynamics of the Bristol political class in elections have. In some ways, I yearn for the days when our political leaders emerged from a barn in Forestville or a smoky men's club in the West End corner. That seemed to have served us well in many ways. Fuck you. Why isn't everyone more civil? Meanwhile, this fuck is using a fake Facebook account to troll people. Why can't we be more civil? Troll! And once again, am I being petty? Partially. But there's a reason. See, this is where, as some people have noticed, I made some comments where I said, things on the internet live forever. And I'm not going to pull up the screen just because the text is going to be very small for you, but I'm going to read some stuff here that came from an old Blogspot article from quite a while back. Because you see, when you Google certain people, all you got to do is search past page 1 and you find a few things. And so this came from what was originally known as BristolToday.com. The Bristol blog features news and information about Bristol, Connecticut. Spat over Catharsis appointment turns ugly. The possible appointment of Republican activist Alex Catharsis has created a firestorm that's become the talk of the political establishment these days. The growing controversy may have even played a role in the vandalism this past weekend of the business run by Catharsis' father and uncle, Bristol Instrument Gears. Catharsis said the place was severely vandalized Sunday night, with 30 or so windows smashed, including the windshield of a company's pickup truck. Catharsis, who hasn't worked there in 4 years, called it a vicious act of vandalism. Sources said today that police are investigating the vandalism and looking into whether it's connected to the political spat. The controversy can be seen rather clearly from a few emails that have been bouncing around city circles recently. Here they are. Now, mind you, the word on the street from when this happened, which is back in 2010, so 15 years ago, was that Alex did this himself in order to garner sympathy. That he vandalized his family's own property to try to say, they're out to get me. So, June 28th, 2010 email from city councilor at that time, Kevin McCauley, to city councilors. Hello, colleagues. I know I don't have to remind you of Concerned Conservative, an anonymous screen name at the time, who inappropriately attacked Terry Parker last fall, as it was discussed when he last asked to be considered for appointment. This is a much more serious appointment, and I believe Alex Catharsis is not someone we should consider at this time. I am critical of Alex for any of the land use boards, as my concerns for the lack of decorum he has shown time and time again should preclude him from consideration. I would consider Alex for some lesser board or commission if he learns how to restrain himself on the blog and in public. It may be tough for him. Thank you for considering my position. See you on Tuesday. July 21st letter from Alex Karras to Mayor at that time, Art Wood, city councilors, and others. Dear Mayor Ward, it has come to my attention that recently my name was put up for appointment for two volunteer city official positions. One was the historic district and the other was the planning commission. I've discovered both times my name was brought forward, it was blocked by councilperson Kevin McCauley. An audacious and maligning statement via email to all of the Bristol City Council was sent by Kevin McCauley, urging council members not to allow my name to be brought forward for appointment. Mind you, this malicious email that he's saying is the one I just read. In the emailed statement, Councilperson McCauley referenced anonymous blog comments that he unsubstantially cites as mine and stated that my lack of decorum has been shown time and time again should preclude him from consideration. And I would consider Alex for some lesser board or commission if he learns how to restrain himself on the blog and in public. It may be tough for him. So literally quoting what was said, but saying that it was malicious. This is obviously twisted logic by councilperson McCauley. How could he cite my decorum and public conduct by anonymous blog comments? Besides being misguided, McCauley email remarks to Bristol City Council people and the public are slanderous and hypocritical. The statement from Councilperson McCauley via email to the council is an insulting and defamatory act against me and the entire Karras family. How dare he criticize my decorum and the ability to conduct myself correctly in public? McCauley obviously used poor judgment in stating that I, with a graduate and undergraduate degree and with my career in business, cannot conduct myself professionally. Not to mention my tenure on the Planning Commission and the numerous other volunteer activities that I have been involved in. In actuality, it would truly surprise me if McCauley actually believed that I can't or have not conducted myself in a proper manner publicly. It is bad politics on his part, inhibiting what is best for Bristol. Oh my God, it goes on. With this in mind, one more wonder if McCauley knows or realizes that I served a full 5-year term on the Planning Commission already from 1998 to 2003. After finishing my term, I asked not to be reappointed because my graduate school classes would have interfered with my duty on planning. Upon announcing to Mayor Nicastro that I was not seeking reappointment, I received a letter of appreciation voted unanimously by the City Council. I am probably one of the best qualified people to serve on the Planning Commission in the entire city of Bristol, but McCauley has blocked voting on me, apparently for political reasons. During my term on planning, besides serving on the commission that oversees subdivisions, certain blah, 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 I am well educated and experienced in regards to city land use procedures, ordinances, and protocols. Since I am a 5th-generation resident of Bristol and a 4th-generation resident of Federal Hill, one would think McCauley, the council liaison to the Federal Hill Association, would be enthusiastic to my appointment to either the Historic Commission or the Planning Commission. That would be, of course, if he was relying on common sense rather than innuendo. Then again, of course, since McCauley's only attended approximately 1 meeting per year of the Federal Hill Association in the last 3 years, apparently he doesn't care much for the input of that area of the city anyway. Obviously, Kevin McCauley has no respect for all of the accomplishments I have made in my life, including my education and my career. And this, I believe, reflects McCauley's lack of respect for business and higher education altogether. If it's so tough for me to restrain myself as he claims, how could I have achieved what I have? It's a ridiculous statement on his part. I know Councilman McCauley a bit. Oh my God, it goes on. Oh God. Yeah, the rest is just gibberish. Oh God. And of course, this is the last email from this is an email in August from the mayor to the city councilors. This is to inform everyone that I, along with the Democratic and Republican town chairpersons and the president of the Federal Hill Association, have received a communication from Alexander J. Catharsis regarding an email forwarded to the council members by Council Member McCauley regarding any potential appointment of Mr. Catharsis as a member of any city boards or commissions. I would strongly recommend, in the best of interests of the city of Bristol and both individuals, that a meeting might be conducted between Council Member McCauley and Mr. Catharsis to address and resolve these concerns as soon as possible. If so requested, I would be willing to provide use of the mayor's office to hold these discussions. Sincerely, Mayor Art Ward. And then there is a slew of comments on an old Blogspot post. I'll share that down below too, where Mr. Catharsis here decided to use several fake names to defend himself because he was getting dragged in the fucking comments. So the incident with the Terry Parker that was referenced there, I was trying to find more info on, and I had to talk to some people who were around back then. Long and the short, that was a woman, and he got severely verbally abusive and almost came to blows with a woman. And the entire time was on blogs and probably Facebook at the time, who knows, but mostly local town blogs under Concerned Conservative, which was found out to be him, outed, and cost him any city positions that he was seeking. That was 15 years ago. He has been disgraced ever since. That meeting never happened. The meeting that the mayor said, I'll allow it to happen, never happened. And I mean, this is at a time where I'm looking at the blog here, and on the side it says who was in office at the time. You know, it says like current administration, but it's obvious. So this was when, 2013 was when the blog stopped being used. And at that time, Ken Cockane was the mayor, and we were in very rough times in the city. City council members, fucking Henry Martin, he's been around forever. Council District 3, Ellen Zappo, who became the mayor. And Mary Fortier, who's one of the people that runs the Bristol Edition. So these people have been around. But here is this fucker hiding under a screen name, kissing ass, trying to get a position, most likely in the Board of Ed. Because, well, fuckbuckle's trying to blame the Board of Ed for everything, and the Board of Ed's going, nah, we got receipts, bitch. We got receipts. So he wants to send in his his obese fucking goblin here. He wants to send him in to try to sabotage the Board of Ed. Allegedly. That is my assumption from his article with what he mentioned in it, how anyone should be able to run for the Board of Ed. Don't be surprised if he tries campaigning. So, long and the short, a leopard doesn't change its spots. He got caught doing this shit 15 years ago. He's doing it again. And for anyone who lives in the bubble known as fucking boomer Facebook, you need to wake up. But there's more. Because there's another person. And this person has been a thorn in my fucking side in more ways than one. Since moving back to this city. Since buying a house. And there are plenty of news articles you can find about the underhanded bullshit that this cunt pulls. Unfortunately, Connecticut's state representatives, House of State Representatives, we seem to have our own version of Marjorie Taylor Greene. And by that, we mean a bleach blonde twat with big Karen energy. And her name is Cara Pavolak D'Amato. Just look at seriously, Can you not smell the Karen energy coming off of that? Can you not see the I want to talk to the manager nonsense in that look? You almost cross-eyed, bitch. So, I first became aware of her fuckery during the last time she was running for re-election because she pulled some awful fucking shit. She held a campaign party at someone's house, and this was during COVID. And the Republican town committee, basically the house was in a part of the city where, obviously, it's mostly on street parking, and there's apartment buildings close by, so the people that live there need to park on the street. And everyone's considerate of people's driveways. These people went and blocked a person's driveway, and they came out to complain. They basically Cara basically told him to fuck off. He called the police. There was a bunch of bullshit. Basically, Cara threatened to have, let's see, I believe she threatened to have his registration pulled. She threatened to have his fucking the housing inspector check his bill, like a bunch of shit. Left awful notes on the dude's car. Like, I was just like, what the fuck? What is up with this bitch? But that was nothing. That was nothing, apparently. So you see, Bristol's divided up into certain districts. And one of the things that they're trying to get rid of now, which some people think is good, I don't think is good, is they want to change one of the basis that you have to live in the district that you're running in. They want to change it to be, because there's a lack of candidates or yada, yada, you can live outside of this portion of the city, but still represent it, which I think is bullshit because they've already gerrymandered shit so much. Like, you made your bed, now you're trying to change the rules. And basically they're doing it so they can stack the fucking city council. And they don't want someone from that area to run because they're connected to that part of the community. So what happened was this bitch moved. She moved almost completely out of Bristol. She moved. So that means you got to give up your seat. No. She did, and this bitch is a lawyer. She passed the bar in Florida. Insert joke here. This bitch is a lawyer. What she did was, there was a spot over on Route 6. There was a pawn shop. Pawn shop went out of business. Above the pawn shop and leading back are these little studio apartments on the top floor. And really, it's if you live in that area, I'm not knocking you. Like I said, sometimes you're just doing what you can to get by, and you got to rent where you can, and you do what you can to survive. I've been there myself. I've lived in some really shitty one-room apartments in order to survive, so I get it. However, this place isn't known for being the best of buildings. This bitch rented a studio apartment in this building. Didn't live there, just rented it so she could claim that she was a resident in that district. She was still staying at home. She had kids. She had to bring to school. This bitch claims that she would get up every morning, drive to her house, pick up the kid, bring the kid to school, then go to fucking Harper. No, it didn't fucking happen. And people were calling her out on this because they're like, this bitch does not live here. People who lived in that building are like, we never seen that bitch. Because I'm sorry, but big Karen energy gonna stick out in a building full of people who are not white. The Bristol Press. There was Bristol Press, not Bristol Edition. Bristol Edition is a volunteer-run online publication. Bristol Press is an actual printed publication that has been around for many, many decades. There was a reporter from the Bristol Press, or was it the Press, or it might have been the Hartford Courant. It was one of the two. I mean, everything's getting conglomerated in Connecticut now, so they might be the same corporation at this point. Someone investigated this. They would actually park outside across the street and keep track of cars that came and left. All that. They were an investigative reporter. That's what an investigative reporter does. And why? Because people said, this bitch don't live here. They published their findings. You can find it. You can find it online. You can find articles about Bristol Representative Cara Pavelak D'Amato does not live in her district. This bitch turned around and tried to sue that reporter for stalking. Reporter was doing their job, never threatened any physical harm, mental harm, anything. And what was this reporter doing? Sitting across the street from a place she supposedly lived and gave forth proof that she didn't live there. So how are you stalking someone if you're not where they are? How is that stalking? Of course the case was thrown out. But what I'm saying is that, and this bitch is a lawyer. Pass a bar in Florida, insert joke here. Yes, I'm repeating myself. What happens when you major in ketamine and margaritas? Freedom of speech, bitch. And then, so mind you, I'm a registered independent, so I get campaign shit in the mail from both sides. Well, one day, we're checking the mail, and there was a letter addressed to Titus Alexander. Him. Huh, puppy. Titus. You getting mail? Here, buddy. I know, I called you and I'm not doing it. Here, come here. Come here. I can't say his name and then like him be like, what? And me not be like, yeah, come here. Yes. But there's a letter to my dog. Now, mind you, when I see something like that, I think of, I automatically think to like someone's trying to take out a credit card in my dog's name. Like that's what that's what worries me. Because that's like shit that people used to do back in the day. Like even during the housing crisis with the bubble and everything, there were landlords who were getting mortgage loans in their pet's name. Like, so I worry about something when I see a letter addressed to my dog. So I open the letter. And it's a form letter from Cara Pavelak D'Amato. Well, no, it's not a letter from Cara. It's a letter from her dog. Basically saying, I live in this town too, and my mama wants your mama to vote for me. Or stupid fucking rhetoric like that. She basically went in and took the city's dog registry records, found everyone that has a dog license that had gotten renewed that year, and used that as a master list to send out bullshit campaign letters. I'm sorry, but that's a waste of fucking money. And that doesn't make me trust you. That feels like an invasion of my privacy. Like, yes, it's public record that my dog has a license. But to use it for that kind of nefarious fuckery? No. And what was worse was I actually shared, I took a photo of the letter and shared it on my social media. And some people are like, yeah, I got one of those too. Which just brought back a shit fucking ton of memories because I had to put my dog down 3 months ago. It was more than one person. How fucked up does that gotta be? But does this bitch think about that? No. No, she thinks she's being cute. Oh, look at me. I'm mingling with the pores. Fuck you. But you see, the thing is, full circle. Kara is also one of these people that lives in the Facebook bubble that creates fake profile names to suck off Mayor Fuckbuckle and to spread disinformation. Now, I caught one of them and outed them months ago, and that's when she was using the profile Sally Maxwell. I actually got a DM from Sally going, "You fucking idiot, I'm not Kara." But amazingly, after that, Sally stopped posting. Interesting. So during the same time, there is also another person who all they do is post nonsense and laugh react to anything that I comment. Because, well, we all laugh at the dumb shit they comment. And that's someone by the name of Judy Bristol. Judy Bristol is Kara Pavlak-D'Amato, ladies and gentlemen. Until I can be proven otherwise, until this fabled Judy Bristol shows up, all signs point to, and people have told me in inner circles, because they've seen her posting as Judy Bristol from her phone, Judy Bristol is Kara Pavlak-D'Amato. Hence the hi, Kara / Judy Bristol. This bitch. They live in a bubble. Oh, by the way, since then, she got reelected and they re-gerrymandered the district to go right up to where her new house is. So that her new house is on that little tip of the district. Ain't it grand? And basically, it was a re-gerrymandering so that way they could get more of the non-white people slimmed down, and they could get more of the bread earners, as they like to put it. They got to put more white people in their demographic, more people who make 6 figures a year in their demographic, so that she could keep getting reelected. Which, in all honesty, you don't really need. What you need is to get the people who are in that district to vote, because that's her district. Like I said, this is all close to me. This is my district, which is why I got the thing. 150 feet down the road from where she was claiming to live is an area that has been subsidized housing since it was first built. At times, it was known as the most dangerous part of Bristol. I know people that live there, and once again, you got to do what you got to do to survive. And sometimes you got to live where you live. But I know people who live there, and I know people who have lived there. Am I saying it's the greatest area? No. I'm saying it's the worst area? No. I've driven through there and not felt scared. But the problem is that area, the area known as Jerome Ave and Davis Drive, what you need to do is you need to tap into the people that live there. Make sure they're registered. Let them know, listen, we got to get this fucking Karen out of here. We need someone good in this area. We need someone who knows what the people are like in this area to represent us, to represent us in the state capitol. We need more people like the Patton brothers. We need more people like Rosado. Notice I said the Patton brothers because they're both on both sides of the aisle. That's what we need. We don't need these elitist, white-collar, racist, bigoted trash to remain in office. We need to get them out. As I mentioned on the last episode, yeah, the election is not till November of this year. So that's 8 months away. 8 months and change. Now's the time. Now's the time to start finding people who will run, start backing those people, start the right methods of campaigning. I said myself, whoever wants to run for fucking mayor this summer needs to fucking go to Page Park. They need to get the permits to rent Page Park for the day, and they need to hold a community cookout and send invites to everyone in the district. And they always do like they're like, oh, if you need a ride to the polls, we'll give you a ride. Offer rides to shit like that if people aren't in walking distance. Let them know. Let them know. You got Mayor Fuckbuckle going around to all the fucking the Polish festival, the German festival, the farmers market. He's like, I am among my fellow whites. And that's all he caters to. Guess what? That demographic in this city has changed drastically since I was a child. We saw it just in my neighborhood I grew up in. When I was born, my father owned his shop. I lived at the top of North Main. And it was all old Polish and Russian people. Or not old, but older. Working class. Polish and Russian. My father always used to joke. He said these Russian guys, is like he said these European guys think Majorska is Russian. Because that's the vodka they would buy. We owned a liquor store. But then the demographic slowly changed. And it became more people of color. And I'm glad it did when it did, because when I was going to school in Bristol, when I was going to elementary school, I was exposed to the other cultures. I remember there was this girl, it was a Puerto Rican family moved in, and they came and she called me her American cousin. And she was a great fucking friend. And I haven't seen her since I was 8 years old. I still remember that. It's experiences like that that stick with you. Like at the time, Puerto Rico's a territory. It's a commonwealth. Like it's part of the U.S., but she would still call me her American cousin. Luckily we had 2 Jewish people in our class in the following class, and their mom would come in every year and talk about Hanukkah. Luckily there's great people now that still are able to do that, who are able to talk about their faith and talk about the things they volunteer to go around, of the Jewish faith that do it in this city. And I'm appreciative of that. This city just approved 4 different holidays for students to have an excused absence, for Diwali and for Three Kings Day, a couple other things just this year. And that's a wonderful thing. That's what we need to strive for in this city. In order to do that, we need to get these elitist, bigoted fucks gone. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, why don't you fucking run for office? Now, I even said some people have a defeatist attitude of, I'll run, but I'll lose. That's not my viewpoint. My viewpoint is of a few things. Number one, I'm already an independent. I've been an independent since I registered to vote at the age of 18. If I was to choose to run, I wouldn't be able to get the campaign funds to run as an independent. So I would have to choose a party. And that right there would be betraying everything that I've done by picking a party. So on a moral ground there, I can't. Also, I'm disabled. Right now I can't drive a car. I don't have a working ankle. My legs, my feet can't do this. And I don't have the funds to put hand controls on my car that's been sitting there in my driveway since we bought this house. So I can't get to the state capitol. I could probably get to City Hall using the bus, but my disability right now and where I am physically, as far as my rehabilitation, I don't have the time to dedicate to it. And also, and probably the biggest thing is, and this is actually a rule that I helped instill, so it's on my own merit, but if I were to run for a public office in this city, I would have to give up my executive board position at my church. And while I love this city and I love its people, I love my spiritual path more. And I have done many things up there to make sure that that place stays open. You know, the door stays open, the insurance is paid, all that stuff. And if I would have to step down from that, I don't know what would happen. So that's why I have to choose that as my greater good. I'm not saying it's not a lesser of two evils, it's just a greater good. So what I do is I speak out like this. I let other people know. One other thing before I go, and there's something that I've seen copy pasted a few times that I want to read. It's been copy pasted a few times on the Bristol Editions page, so it won't be hard to find. Because there was one loose end that I hadn't tied up that I said I would go back to. And so I'm a man of my word. Here it is. It's from someone who goes by the name J.L. Torres. To all my friends at Facebook and certain Bristol groups, thank you. How to help if you are really my friend. Call or text or send this text to Mayor Fuckbuckle, my words, and tell him, 1, fix the retainer wall on Federal Street. Bristol employees doing removal of a giant pipe water main that broke and did damage to the retainer wall. 2, fell 2 trees that the city owned but did nothing about back when it was asked. Call or text him and send this text to Raymond Rogozinski, Public Works Department. Tell him, 1, fix the retainer wall. 2, fell the 2 trees. Hopefully Mayor Fuckbuckle can get the messages and do the right thing and fix the problems. Hopefully Raymond Rogozinski Public Works Department can get the messages and do the right thing. Institutional racism here in Bristol and rampant pending on which political crooks are in office. The current political administration, upper echelon et al., have been dividing minorities to their advantages and for their political future growth potential of their continued, if elected, the same old institutional racism. The longer they stay in power, the longer we will be divided, discriminated against. The less we do now, the more they will benefit now and then. Let's all together, we the people, fire the discriminators and vote them out. Raymond Rogozinski Public Works Department is actually lying, cheating, and stealing, creating false information and confabulating information to make it look like it's true, when in fact it is not the truth at all. He did another one here, which is why I'm sorry I found the wrong one. Here it is. I'm sorry. He did a couple of these. So yeah. This is the other one. To all my friends, that's all. Call or text or send this message to Mayor Fuckbuckle and fire Public Works Department. Tell them. Racism seems to reside with some politicians, cannot hide, to divide U.S. success, and we cannot deny us the opportunity that you are trying to take from us. You offer us a conduit to help us, but not really. Lying, cheating, and stealing, confabulating to greed, surfing through society's racism, discriminations, can it be? Vote against the mayor, Jeff Fuckbuckle, and fire. So Raymond, there was one about the fire chief. It seems that he switched it up. I'm sorry. There was one where he mentioned the racist fire chief as well, which is why I wanted to bring it up. But these are all mentioning the director of public works, which still is, they were responsible for the fucking school and did nothing. So My bad. I screwed up a little bit on that. Sorry. I was trying to tie in everything together before the end, but yeah. So yeah, just bottom line, just watch out for these fucking snakes because they're everywhere. I'm actually gonna pull up this splash screen one more time, just so I can point it out one more time. Nope, that's the one with Drag Queen Joe. Oh, by the way, Hawks is really pissed off about that. The little let me pull that up. He's where'd it go? Oh, come on. I don't have it. Yeah, he's real mad about this still. Thank you to all who have taken that. And once again, if you want a copy of that, it's on the community tab of the channel. Please share it around because that bigoted asshole is another one. But yeah, this was the splash screen that you saw. So just a reminder. To the left there is Cara, not Judy Bristol. In the middle there is Bigot Fuckbuckle. And on the end there is John Stevens, a.k.a. Alex Karras. And that's me on the left, if you haven't figured it out. We got to get rid of these fucks. We got to make sure they get nowhere near City Hall anymore. We got to do better for ourselves. If you are concerned about national politics, it starts on your local level. And this is your chance. There's volunteer positions to be had. There's many different organizations in this city. And trust me, that's another problem with Mayor Fuckbuckle is there's volunteer organizations where he started vetting who gets to volunteer for them. Quite literally, a friend of mine tried to get on the Diversity Council, which is a volunteer position. And they had to pass an interview with this fuck. And he was like, nah. And then the Diversity Council was chasing my wife to try to take a position on it because that position wasn't filled. Why? Because this bigoted fuck. It's the Diversity Council. And he didn't want diverse people on it. Hopefully that changes now because one of the Patton brothers has taken it over. God, I hope so. But yeah. Thanks for the trip down memory lane, little hands. It's junk night. We need to take out the trash. With that, thank you once again for joining me in my catharsis. My name is Joseph J. Alexander. My socials are there on the bottom of the screen. Please, Titus, come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come here. Come on. He's doing from over there. Good. Gotta say like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Good boy. That's his job. Please like and subscribe. Please share the channel. Please share this video. I'm going to put it where I can. But if you live in the city of Bristol or know someone that lives in the city of Bristol, please share this with them. Get informed. Like I said, links to some of the things that I've shared are down below. Other things you can find. I tell no lies. I have no reason to. I ain't getting paid for this shit. Yeah. Where's my closing music? Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for joining me in my catharsis. Until next time.